All righty, it is kind of dark, isn't it? Let me change the light color. We have a reading for someone named Kat, and then we have a little cat, don't we? He's actually going to be channeling the reading. My psychical Neptunian, Pisces rising Neptune is back on the ascendant with her Sag moon on the galactic center exact. This is what you call a psychic animal. It gives you powers. We combine it with my prized possession. Went for something special. So let's pull the chart up. Esme, be good. And I need to get to work because that Scorpio season fuck fucked me up, and I booked. I just it's like kind of stressful for me because I'm like I have all these like really patient people like yourself, and then I'm it's just like I had one bad seed, client who is like this, I did her reading. She was like super aggressive and horrible and not kind of like she was actually like a sociopath. I saw in her chart too, another story. And my psychic friend like confirmed it. Of course I didn't do that, but anyways, like I had a whole thing with her and it has me like PTSD because she's like um doing like a claim against like for her money back, even though like I clearly like provided her the reading and sent PayPal the info, but I still haven't heard back from them. So, or let's see actually. I think it's just like being held. I don't know how long those disputes take, but it's pretty annoying. Anyways, life goes on. Life goes on, and usually it's more light than this. I think it's this. I like to have this color. There's one color that gives it like really good light. I think it's this one. Yeah, that one makes it way better. Okay, that's like perfect. Okay, so um, let's get the clock. Okay, so I like to share screen when I do readings, like not the whole time, but like I generally like to. I'm literally like with my crystal, like meditating a lot during readings. So it's kind of weird looking. Um, okay, so I have your last name hidden. So yeah, let's just do this thing. I'm actually just gonna make your name just K. Just K. K is fine. Yeah, yeah. Initial. Um, all right, so share screen, everything's good. Sound. Okay, cool. So what do we have here? Let's pull the aspect grid up, why don't we? Fire, water. So very feminine chart. Isn't that what we have, Esme? She said yes. We have not too many harsh aspects either. Um, but very interesting. When I see a chart like this, I'm always like, okay, well, and sometimes the aspect grid lies to me because it like has like orbs. I don't know how to change them. So like, for example, like someone could have moon square Pluto and it's like at 8 degrees away. Esme, okay, now you stop, Esme. Actually, you can say my last. And it won't pick it up. And then I'll look at it and I'll be like, wait, that's totally counts. So I always like double check with my eyes. Yeah, so just it's that moon square sun, like me. We both got that. And that's like, having moon square sun is so, it can be quite tense. I feel like it can really bring the best out of people though. That's kind of what I've been seeing a lot with the sun square moon is that it's very like, it's like even if you like lack fire in your chart, right? The motivating force, and you do actually, you have Gemini. What am I talking about? You totally have. I'm stupid. You have you have air. You have your water and fire. You have low water and fire, so you have air. So air is masculine. So Esme, you were wrong. You're wrong, Esme. Okay, you told me that. My cat's fault. Blame it on my cat. Um. So yeah. So yeah, the Gemini energy. So it's the Gemini and the Virgo. So it's a very mercurial energy. And mutable. So like myself, we both have mutable square sun square moon. Mine's Pisces Sag, and yours is the other two. Um, which is very interesting, right? And they're even in like very similar degrees. So our synastry is kind of interesting. It's like um the sun the sun and moons create. I'm really bad with the names of the aspect patterns. Is it the what? Just the not grand square. Is it grand square? I forget the name. Basically, just like my moon would be my sun would be right here, and my moon would be right here. So it would just be like, you know, like every mutable energy in our sun or moon in those angles, which is very interesting. And you know what that means, right? It means that me and you both have opposite moons. I'm 21 Sag, and opposite suns. I'm 28 Pisces, but still, yeah. So, anyways, um, I guess what I would say with is just, okay, I have to put her away. Stop, Esme. Go away. Finding all my cords and stuff. So what I would say with, Sun in Virgo, square moon in Gemini, right? Obviously, you know about your Virgo sun, ninth house in my whole sign system. And you have the 1 degree, yeah, we said the 1 degree Capricorn rising, which is very nice because it means that your chart doesn't really change much from whole sign to Placidus. Um, and then you have Uranus rising. Um, Very interesting. And yeah, there's other outers in the first. So basically, what is it like? What is that square, that Virgo Gemini square, right? What does that bring up? Because it's very interesting because being the opposite version of that, it's like an opposite manifestation. Pisces Sag versus Virgo Gem, right? So um obviously, like, it's really like about figuring out, okay, how can you feed both mouths, right? And understanding both, right? And then what other parts of the charts agree or disagree with those, right? Because you have your North Node in air, right? In Aquarius, which is, I wish I counted the amount of people who get readings from me who have their South Node in Leo, because I have like where they have like the same nodal axis as me. We both have our North Node. We're in the same year, yeah. So a lot of similar alignments. Um, so yeah, I think that like the squares of like the mutables are a lot easier to deal with than fixed or cardinal, especially fixed, right? Like like the people like the Scorpio Leos, for example, um, or the um, Taurus Aquarius is. I feel like that's really really tough, right? Because there's not as much willingness, that mutable willingness to kind of like let go, you know. Oh, and I do spot a nice grand trine. I guess it's mid heaven, but yeah. Um, so it's easier, right, with these energies, but at the same time, obviously Virgo having, 3 planets in there with Ceres, in the ninth house. There's definitely a perfectionist streak, right? Your Mercury is retrograde also. Interesting. And I think that, Gemini moons, the way I see Gemini moon is that it's always looking for new experiences. Um, and being mercurial, it's very, yeah, very, it gives one an emotional need for changeability, for just everything, like just really wanting to experience so much in life, right? Very, very social. A need to obviously communicate with those around you. Um, in relationships, obviously Gemini moons require a lot of stimulation, and they need to have that intellectual connection. And they're people who are very, very capable intellectually to dip their toes in many different areas, and they're intellectuals, right? I mean, Gemini moon, you're gonna have someone who's an idea person, right? For the most part, right? Now, Gemini being Gemini is very good. One thing that Gemini does very good is and this is what's interesting is the thing that Virgo tends to not do very good at, right? Now, of course, Virgo is the opposite sign of Pisces, right? So I always say high energy Virgo is earth magic, while high energy Pisces is cosmic magic, right? Um, so but the thing that the Virgos obviously tend not to always be best at is that self criticism, right? Holding themselves to such high standards, and you've heard it before, right? I don't have to go into that. You see my posts about perfectionist tendencies and Virgos all over there. Um, and I think one of the most important things for Virgo placements is to learn. It's like I always think of metaphors, right? So, and your Mercury retrograde will probably appreciate that. Um, I think of it like I see like a white crystal ball that's like Virgo, and it doesn't want anything to be any gray in it, It wants to just remain perfect. And I think one of the big tests for Virgo people is how can, like, for example, like a perfect example. I was talking to someone who had lots of Virgo the other day, and in like a current astrology follow-up session, and they were telling me, like, we were talking about meditation, and they're telling me, like, like how they did it, and I literally predicted. I was like, let me guess, you did it for like 10 days or something. It was going well, and then you missed like the 11th or whatever day, and because of that, you just stopped doing it completely. And they're like, yeah, pretty much exactly what happened. Not the amount of days, but yeah. And it's that 100 or 0 energy, right? Which is so difficult. Um, so one of the big lessons for Virgo is yeah, is to really be able to allow themselves self-compassion, So this is a very I think that this square can push you to great things. Um, and being that they're both, and there's a common ground. So it's kind of interesting that, like, for the mutable squares, like for mine, the common ground is Jupiter, right? Because Pisces and Sag. For yours, it's Mercury. So, but what can happen with this much Mercury is that there can be that overthinking, which is another big thing with Mercury retrograde people, right? Overthinking, and your sun's pretty close to the nebula also, which is a truth-seeking fixed star. Um, but yeah, overthinking and being like overly critical. Now you don't have the aspects though that would make things very, very difficult. Um, Pluto is just chilling. You got nothing in Leo, or you do it, but nothing like no personal planets in Leo, um, nor in Aquarius. So Pluto's not really doing anything, any damage. And then you have all of your Capricorn outers, right? So, you don't have any personals in Cancer, nor in Libra, nor in Aries, right? So that's already nearly all of them. And then you add Chiron, which is in Cancer also. So it's like, yeah, it's like opposing that. So, um, a huge part of my readings often, and why a lot of them take so long is because I go into such detail about a certain square especially to the moon, right? Um, because of how important that is. But for you, a lot of that, and that you could maybe you could look at that as like good karma, um, or you could look at it as like the focus is something like clearing out the way, because the focus is something way more important than dealing with maybe these are things that you've dealt with in past lives already, right? And you might wonder, why do you say that, Jesse? Well, guess what? You have Jupiter on your south node in Leo. So, I mean, you bring in great gifts, eighth house gifts, right? Magician gifts, mystic gifts. You have, yeah, that's a really good sign. Like I've been thinking about a post lately about like it's a very loaded post, about like good and bad karma in the chart. And it's not one I'm just ready to just do. But Jupiter conjunct South Node, I think would go on that list because it just shows that there was lots of good fortune that you brought into this lifetime. Now, if you think about okay, well, it's opposing the North Node, what does that mean? Well, I think anything with Jupiter just there's just like a warning to watch out for excess. But eighth house Jupiter can make someone like have like there can be like inheritances, right? um, Benefiting from marrying someone wealthy, for example, really benefiting from other people's resources, and it can be very very karmic in that sense because a lot of people have money karma, right? Where they're meant to learn some of the tougher lessons that are in relation to money, while others do not. So, one second, water. So yeah, but basically with those two, obviously having the same ruling planet, so everything's about communication, intellect, ideas. Um, there's there is that in common, but it's very different that kind of mercurial energy, right? And I think that one thing is that the Gemini wants to go go go. It doesn't necessarily want to like analyze as much as Virgo, right? Um, it's more about experience. And Virgo, is a very interesting sign, very misunderstood sign. I made a post a while ago. I was like, what's the most misunderstood sign? Of course, everyone said Aquarius, but I voted for Virgo because I've just experienced too many. I just think it's a really it can be a really really spiritual sign. I mean, it's opposite sign of Pisces, right? Um, and oftentimes it is. And oftentimes I meet Virgos who are like more Pisces than me. So I think uh it's about that relationship between movement and just like because there can be that chaotic nature that can come from Gemini, right? That can be a little bit overwhelming for Virgo. Virgo likes structures, right? Virgo likes things the same way. So yeah, it's just like that. I experience Virgo as being, even though it is Mercury ruled, rather, uh, you know, not necessarily introverted, but definitely not like Gemini, you know? Um, so 1 second. Yeah, so I think that with yeah, with these two, especially in the ninth and sixth, which is very interesting because the sixth is, the moon is in the sixth house of Virgo with Mars there. It's like, how can you balance out having, you know, this organized life, this life of service, this life of having things kind of under wraps, while also just going with things, right? Just going with the flow. Um, and not getting stuck, because Virgo energy can get stuck sometimes, right? Um, Especially when there's, more earth. So I think like the key healing part of this is through um, the healing of perfectionism, right? The awareness of it and seeing how it comes up. And yeah, just learning to kind of let things go. And I think the Gemini moon definitely makes a Virgo take things less seriously. And I think it actually activates this part of Virgo, this magical part of Virgo that I was talking about before, right? The earth magic. Um, because it's mutable earth, as I said, right? And the fact that it's in the ninth house is very important because that's the house of Sagittarius. So it's really about, it's like, it's interesting, right? Because it's like um it's more linked to the moon. So there's definitely, yeah, this balance between the organized um daily life, whether service plays into it or not, and um the adventure life. I think my camera just went kapoof. What just happened? Don't start doing this again, camera. Okay. Anyways, I'll just leave it on like this for now. So yeah, then we definitely need to talk about that in the follow-up because like squares also, obviously indicate that a lot of times it's like a divorce, in the parent with, the parents divorced, and what can happen is that there can be like two sides of personality that are very, very conflicting, very, very different, right? So it's like, how do you make up for that? And that internal kind of clashing, as I said, mutable is easier, right? Um, Now, and the fact that the sun in the ninth house individual, is really here to learn about higher truth. Um, they're really meant to question a lot. Um, they're really meant to travel a lot, and they're on this endless search, right? So the magic of it is to not is to kind of like not get too stuck on one thing and to allow yourself to just flow and to just go and go, right? It's like that metaphor of like you're like your life is like you're floating down this stream, right? And there's these little branches you can grab. And yes, you can grab them, but you're meant to continue to kind of flow, you're double mutable. Um, but what the Virgo can do sometimes, it can cause you to grab onto one and hold on for too long, right? So it's like the Gemini moon instinct is like to keep going, to keep flowing. But then there's the other part where it's like, yes, I want to be like that, but I also don't want my life to be a fucking circus. I want my life to be, um, rather organized, right? I wonder if I could pull your chart on my phone. I've never done this before. I'm gonna attempt it, probably, and I'm not sure if it will work, but let's just try this. Okay, then I can move to where I have the camera, and I can put this thing on data. Yeah. So, work. Um, yeah, it was a failed attempt. But I really was like, okay, maybe I could see myself talking and then also did chart, but no, just a good chart. So yeah, basically, there is still that need to have that organization because you feel like, yes, it's like this balance between finding truth and being like that kind of gypsy energy, of just like going and going and going. But then the Virgo, it really needs that home, that ground, that solid ground, right? um so how can you find that balance between being on that stream, but when you're on that stream having a really, really comfortable and consistent, I don't know, whatever, like boat or whatever, I guess. I don't fucking know. But like there is, definitely a need for you to create that solid ground, which is the second house north node, right? Um, because as you go from eighth to second, it's all about personal values, right? Um, So sometimes people who have South Node, especially with conjunct Jupiter, there could have been like past life tendency of having lots of privilege. Sometimes people who have like Sun or Jupiter conjunct South Node, they come into this lifetime, especially in Leo, um, what's like some entitlement, like feelings of entitlement, and it's about how do you let go of that, right? How do you, because like Aquarius North Node, as I have also, it seems that there's lots of been there done that with like the star energy, the star Leo energy, right? So it's like, how can you deal, like, for example, if you don't get recognition that you feel like you deserve, right? um but the goal is it's moving away from the I and moving to the we, right? um And but like at the same time, at the second house, it's like really trying to push you to create a solid balance instead of morals that you can basically live your whole life based off of, right? That come from you as opposed to potentially combining with very powerful forces in past lives. Now, mm, yeah, so it's interesting that the moon is in the house of the sun. I think that really does make this square easier. Um, because the moon is Gemini, but it has a taste of Virgo to it. It's like I want to be mutable. I want to have so much freedom. I want to try so many different things. I want to be so curious like a cat, but within the, like, I still want there to be a level of consistency to how I do it, right? Um, I still want my life to, as like a Northern Aquarius, I still feel a deep calling to be of service, right? A selfless service to humanity. You get Pluto in the 11th also, right? So that's interesting. But yeah, with the parents, like I said, I was starting to say, a lot of times there is a divorce. Like my parents are divorced. I have this, and if not a divorce, like a very big disagreement between the two, like about their like worldview, which can yeah, lead to conflict, right, within you. If you have to like write down a paragraph of your mother's main message to you and your father's main message to you, it'd be very, very different. Now, it can definitely also create some issues in love, right? I think with Venus, which it's where Mars. So this also plays out. So you have this square. It's very interesting. You have the two yin and yangs in astrology: Sun and Moon, and Venus and Mars, right? Um, that square also plays out with your Venus and your Mars. So Mars and Gemini obviously like is very much about the spoken word, right? It pushes one to be quite intellectual. I always say with Mars and Gemini, people, words are your weapon, right? Words are the weapon. Um, and in the sixth house, it gives it, a deep drive towards daily life, and it can make someone an athlete. Also, Moon, the sixth, let's not forget animals. You can really benefit a lot, having big emotional attachment to animals. But yeah, it's very, yeah, like it makes one like want to have like a very like dialed in daily routine. But then the Gemini part is like, um, yeah, I think Gemini Mars is quite assertive, especially when it comes to like ideas and communication. Um, but there can be definitely some evasive behaviors, I think, with Gemini Mars. And when you talk about the Venus and Virgo conjunct Ceres and Mercury in love, I think that sometimes Venus and Virgo people they can have sometimes unrealistically high standards, um, right? And it can be to the point to where it's like detrimental, right? Because they just it's just like nothing and no one charging can be good enough, right? I've seen that so often. And of course, astrology is all about probabilities. It's the evolved version of that is a lot better, right? But it's really like it just puts this Gemini Virgo um square even more into play. But yeah, the Mars and Gemini is and Moon and Gemini are very, yeah, there can be like a little like scatteredness, unfocusedness, and also very easily bored, and just like this like the need to like change things up a good amount, while the Virgo wants things to be more stable, right? Um, so yeah, very witty though, very very witty, very intelligent. But there's definitely like a need for like some whether it's some creative outlet or some like daily exercise, something like that, because there's lots of energy, right? Gemini rules the hand. So Mars and Gemini maybe playing guitar, playing video games, something where your hand because of that nervous energy. And just that's just like Mercury in general, right? It needs to be balanced, right? Um, or else it can just be very very nervous, and that nervousness can take one away from that feeling of oneness, right? So yeah, and Mars, Gemini people, like when they're on their edge, I feel like they can be very very nitpicky. um so they really need to get that energy out. um so yeah. But I think it also like the Gemini part of you makes you very adaptable. um Wanting to try take up lots of different challenges and projects at once, while the Virgo side is like not like that, so I think they can work together quite well, honestly, because as long as is like you don't spread yourself too thin. um because yeah, Gemini can just like not sustain, like people have all so much Gemini, like they can just like have so much like trouble like keeping their focus on one thing at a time, and then it's like they're the jack of all trades, masters of none. It's like, how do you learn from the opposite sign, right? Sagittarius, and even if you have no sign there, still the polarity point, and really just like find the few main things that you really love and dial those in, right? So the more I think about this square, I'm trying to think like, is there an easier square? I mean, I'd have to really think about that. Not with the fixed, with Cardinal, definitely not. Um, Libra, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn. Hmm, and Leo is fixed. But the Aries and Capricorn. I don't know. Aries Capricorn is an interesting one actually. It's very dynamic. But yeah, I think that there's a great potential because there's the same ruling planet for it to not be like a shit show like it can be for so many people who have that. And as I was saying at the beginning of the reading, I think like my experience and what I've seen with just general sun square moon is that people might have early troubles with it. Um, but it tends to really push people towards accomplishing a lot. I mean, your North Node's in Aquarius. You are here um, for the people. You're here to help. You're unique. To bless the world with your unique talents, right? And I think like the interesting thing is that like you can have this like Gemini and like curiosity and get into so many different discussions and talking to so many different types of people, so many topics, and then you can kind of siphon it through this like Virgo um analytical mind, right? That as long as it's not too analytical, can be very good. Um, but you know, overall, like just at its core, there's like this issue with the need to kind of shine the sun, right? Conflicting with that emotional security, right? And like feeling like challenged and like a level of emotional pressure and kind of the heart and the head not always working together. And of course, the whole parent thing can be huge, right? Like a misunderstanding of the parents. Um, and yeah, it can create lots of dramas in life, negative emotions, irritability is very common, which, because of that split, like I said, there can be relationship problems and that's why it's so important to integrate both, right? Um, like doing parts work, like when I do my therapy, I'm like talking about like the Pisces side and the Sag/Leo side, and not splitting because it can be very easy to like be like to ignore one and only favor the other, right? But yeah, this is like what like to me, I think it's a really because I don't think this is like I think it's a lot easier than a lot of the other ones, and because of the moon being in the Gemini moon being in the house of Virgo, I think that it is pushing you towards great achievements, right? Like early setbacks, but definitely great achievements. Um, so yeah, really lots of toughness and resilience comes from that struggle for sure. And um, yeah, and that's the only aspect of the moon. Yeah, yeah, right. I mean, it's not showing anything else. So, with that ninth house Mercury, right? So Mercury retrograde is very interesting. Because you think of the South Node story, South Node Leo. I always think Mercury retrograde people, it's like karmically, and I'll go back to the chart right now. Karmically, it's like there's been like either like an over or an under um communication. You know, think like something like over the top or under. Um Under the top is that thing. When it comes to communication, and it pushes the individual into a situation in the current life where they have to, you know, they're meant to like kind of look at their own thought process in a deeper way. Um, and yeah, to not um overanalyze, of course. But that can be very, very hard for all that Virgo energy. But I think that your chart, it just, I think overall the energy I get is like someone who just like is very, very, I don't know if capable is the right word, but like who just is able to just do a lot, who's able to just like do a lot in the sense that um like they're always experiencing things, and it's like the Gemini part will want that, and but and then the Virgo, so it's like making sure that there's not the stuckness from the Virgo, right? Um, and then like, there can definitely be some like push and pull, like where it's like you can have like a period of time where it feels a little bit stiff, and then the Gemini moon's like, I need to get out, I need to move, I need to change things, right? And then you do that, but then the Sun and Virgo part's like, yo, I need some stability, I need some stability, I need some ground. Like this is too wild, right? Like I need to be like it's very purpose driven Virgo, right? So it's like I need to be like, I need to be like in line with my purpose, right? So yeah, so I could see how they could work together in a nice way, but how there can also just be this like this push and pull kind of energy. Second meaning something. So the big thing with this chart is the yeah is allowing yourself, because like yeah is finding that balance, of going and staying, of grounded and flowing. So yeah, it's very interesting, very, very interesting. Now, with the Mercury retrograde also, and I wrote about this recently, is like there can be a tendency for people with that to try to like recreate events from past lives, um and almost unconsciously place past life personalities on people in their current lives, as a kind of like interesting, like kind of mirroring, like kind of bring like rework or kind of get to those themes, like so like the whole like distortion of time and space, you know can be very present. I think that going back to what I was saying before, the under the over usage of the Virgo energy, or of the Mercury energy, will, if it's Leo, and is there any squares? No, you're not like me. You don't have square Pluto. Lucky. Well, it's not luck, but you know what I mean. And what's this thing? Yeah, just the Jupiter. And let me just double check my eyes. I guess Black Moon sextiles North Node, so you could, 12th house, so could have been like a witch, a past life witch for sure, which would totally make sense because in the eighth house South Node, you'd be like coming in this lifetime with. Sometimes there are people who do have that. It's Leo conjunct Jupiter, but sometimes there is some like past life trauma. Um, I see that more when it's like in Scorpio. I think that Jupiter kind of pushes that away. And since it's a sextile with Black Moon, it's like very interesting. Um, but yeah, so the Mercury retrograde, it's like it pushes the energy in, and it's usually like around when they gain more awareness, Saturn return ish, whatever. Definitely now for you, where you've like reanalyzed kind of your way of how you want to come across, how you want to think, how you want to talk. Very, very right brained also. So it does push away some of it can make the Mercury almost act like its opposite sign, Pisces, which there's some form of astrology I've never studied, but I think it's like I forget the name, like evolutionary astrology. Not that soul. I forget what it's called, but it's like your soul sign is the opposite sign of your sun. So it's like I don't know like where that came from, like, but I definitely feel like Pisces energy, and I always think of like the opposite, like it's like the opposite signs is like a spectrum, right? 0 to 100, Virgo to Pisces. At some points in your life, you might be all the way on the Pisces side, right? And then come back to the Virgo. Um, so all Virgos, just like I said, your moon sign, it's about learning to not just focus to to have things come together, right? And to not be scattered. But with the sun, I believe here that Pisces is all about going with the flow and getting out of perfectionism, because that is what blocks you from that oneness, right? It's like people with lots of Virgo are like they're their own worst enemy a lot of times, right? But at a high energy, the Virgo allows himself to be that white ball that sometimes has those little gray dots, that white ball purity, and they don't judge themselves so hardly, right? They learn like that they are meant to be as good as they can, and if the best they can do is a 60 out of 100, then that's what they do, like on that day. If the next day it's 90 out of 100, cool. But it's all about just going with life, and not letting things just hold you back. I've seen a lot of Virgos allow that, and then they get stuck in their kind of OCD minds. Not you, but Virgos I know. So borrowing from the opposite sign, Pisces is about it's about seeing the big picture, right? It's about spirituality, deep spirituality, which you've obviously found. And don't get me wrong, like people overlook Virgo when it comes to like most spiritual sign. Some of the most spiritual people I know are Virgos. And my best friend Trey is a double Virgo, Sun and Moon, right? That guy's out of this world spiritual. Um, so yeah, it's just like a different type of spirituality, and what I noticed, even with him, which is a good example, is that he found a way, like he would have like schedules like for his like meditations and then like his chanting and whatever he was doing, yoga. But then he would like get to a point where it was too much, and he'd be like, fuck this. But he learned, hopefully it was astrology, I helped him learn that through astrology, but also just through his own experience, like that it was during those moments that he didn't need to quit, right? He didn't need to just stop what he was doing. He just needed to kind of chill the fuck out, And I don't know how to say it. And realize, because like, I'll go back to my face. I'll show you my hands. Like this is how I see it. Like people with lots of Virgos, a lot of times they see themselves here or here, excuse me. Especially like when they're not perfect, they see other people as higher than they are. when really it's the opposite. They're here even with their shortcomings, and other people are just way less. Not like worse people, but less in terms of like what they're bringing to the table, because you know you bring a lot and you do a lot for other people. Um, and the Venus and Virgo with Ceres, I mean, it just makes someone who really wants to, to serve, like they really want us like this, like they're a very nurturing person, right? Someone who nurtures through like the details, right? Through the actions. It's not about talk, 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 talk. You have the Gemini, right? But it's common for the Venus um Virgo to really show love through their actions, love language, through their actions and things they're willing to do for their partner or whoever, right? So yeah, but like I think Virgo, yeah, Virgo Venus is like they definitely need to like it can be like um harder for them than most Venus signs to find that self-love. But the thing about Ceres and Venus together, um, yeah, it creates lots of nurturing in relationships, right? It's also good for finances. And I think that what it does is that it helps you a shit ton, especially on your Mercury too. It helps you so much in seeing the unique beauty that every individual has, right? Um, because Ceres is like about nurturing, right? And Venus is about attracting. So, when you put them together, um, those two qualities can exist, right? Um, where did my drink go? So yeah, I think that like Ceres Venus is like about unconditional love, you know? And I think it's a really great savior for not that it was ever in trouble, but like I think, what better asteroid could you have on your Venus, especially in Virgo than Ceres, right? Um, it can create some, intense relationships because these initial the relationships are very, very deep, right? They're all about understanding what love actually is, not like that Hollywood shit, So it can bring people into that kind of messiness of what humans are. Um, but really it's about learning about, understanding through your relationships, what love is, what real love is, right? Um, Also, I think that like Venus and Virgo people tend to keep up with themselves really well, like with their physical like qualities, and Virgo Capricorn rising as well, right? Um, that sometimes they can be a little bit too harsh on themselves in terms of like looks and stuff like that, right? And yeah, really good for like anything like counseling, teaching. Um, it's really good for nurturing relationships, so it's a really good one. And I think with the Mercury, it has that same quality, especially because the Mercury retrograde, um, it's so right brained, right? Um, that I think that like it's through your ability to like through your intellectual prowess, you have this real like it gives this real Venusian touch to what can otherwise be a like Virgo can even in retrograde can be a little bit like cold, right? But like the series, it just the fact that it's touching these two Virgo planets, it makes them very, very warm. Ceres is such a warm, energy. I feel like a mother, I always think about Ceres like the second moon, right? So, yeah, you can really like put people at ease with your communication because you spent so much of your life unconsciously analyzing how you want to come across, right? And how you don't want to come across from past lives where maybe you came across too much a certain way or too little a certain way, which with the Leo South Node I'd say probably is too much. Yeah, you can really put people at ease. So it's really good for any kind of intellectual pursuits, writing, speaking, whatever. Um, and you can really be someone who, especially with your Mars and Gemini, who loves to read and who absolutely feels like soothed. Even Moon in Gemini, like feels soothed by reading, by hearing just random people's experiences, um, just conversations in general, right? It's it's it, it's very, very, it's like the journalist energy, the emotional need to be like the journalist of life. What else? Yeah, I don't know. I can't think of anything else with that one. The fact that their Venus is in the ninth house, you could find love abroad for sure. Um, and the Mercury ninth house in the retrograde is that you're just a very like internally philosophical person. Jupiter is in Leo, which I love. I love Jupiter in Leo. It's like maybe my favorite Jupiter position. I mean, one of my favorites because it's just so up. It's just like no matter what's in the chart, what's my face? It's just like so optimistic. It's like so optimistic, and it puts it makes someone like, especially in the eighth house, which like opens up all the intuition. I already talked about the other people's resources, but it's like a lantern, right? In the area of life that deals with like the esoteric, the taboo, right? The things that people are afraid of. You have this lantern where you can just actually understand and gain and have perspective about it, right? But Jupiter and Leo, come on, it's like so giving, fun loving, like smiley, and they search, for this creative expression, and they can be very large. There can be a very larger than life energy which comes from your past life, conjunct your South Node. So this is your past life gift, right? Um, and you know why this is such a great placement for you? Also, it's really good for children, loving children, learning a lot from children. Um, it keeps you in touch with your inner child, which that's something so fucking important. I'm so happy I remembered it about Virgo is that Virgo and Capricorn can move too far away from that inner child, right? If there's too much earth in a chart, it can be too stringent and it can become kind of old and too like adult. And of course, being a Gemini moon, you're like that adds like that youthfulness, right? It's a sign of youth. Um, so yeah, I think that it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. As we are like gonna sing and I didn't sing. Um, so okay, let's talk about the fact that you have freaking Uranus rising. How about that, huh? Oh, and also, yeah, you have Saturn trine your sun, I should mention. Now that's nice. Um, I mean, I think that just makes someone, it can give like a lot of self-confidence. Someone who can like, take on responsibility quite easily. Very good for just being organized. I mean, I have the same thing with sextile. It's a little bit different. So it's really, really another great one for success. Um, what was I gonna say? Yeah. And I want to talk about the Mercury aspects. I guess Mercury and Venus. They're trying the other two, the Uranus and Neptune. I'm not showing your chart. I was. Um. So okay. So Cap rising, but Uranus is on the ascendant. Well, guess what? Um. That makes yes, your ruling planet is in your first house, um, which is really a great thing for manifestation. Um, but having a blah 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 Uranus rising, it's like yeah, you're Cap rising, but you're kind of like an Aquarius rising. It's like a half half kind of right, right, all right, all right, all right, all right. Um, so the house of identity, right? I think Uranus, mixed with Capricorn on the ascendant is very interesting because one part of you wants the more common road, and another part wants the path less taken, right? But regardless, it's very freedom loving, very, very unconventional, and coming across in a way that is unique, that thinks about, the possibilities. Um, Challenging the status quo for sure. I'm admitting it. It's a Red Bull. It's this red flavor. I never drink energy drinks, but I swear to God, I don't know what this shit is, what chemicals are in here, but it's like watermelon and it's so amazing. I don't even know how else to describe it. Like it might be like the best tasting drink I've ever fucking had. Energy drink for sure. It's like I know it's all fucking horrible, but I pray that God loves me for the work I do for other people, that he'll not fuck with my health. Um, I'm not like drinking. I like I feel like I'm drinking them. Like I would never have more than one. I would never have more than one in a day, if I even have one in a day. I prefer coffee. Um, yeah. So it's like you kind of have like an Aquarius rising energy. Very eccentric and your first house is you want to really make a big impact around about yourself in the world, and it's with your north node, right? So very unconventional life path. um and you have the inner compass that kind of directs you where to go, questioning everything, right? Probably from a young age. I don't know, I just get like weird images. I don't know what they are. I see you as like I don't know, whatever I just said, like the questioning everything, like I just see that in you from a young age. And then I see it like the validation coming later in life, and then you just being like, okay, I was fucking right, let's go. Now also Uranus is like a fucking electric energy, right? um so yeah, and there can be tons of downloads, but you have to watch out for being like kind of reckless and impulsive, which the Capricorn can definitely help. So it balances each other out a little bit. Um, but definitely, yeah, giving plans a second thought is important. And not being too rebellious, too impulsive, too disagreeable. So yeah. Also with like clothing and how you express yourself, like with your appearance, it can make someone like very conventional in that sense too, like the whole purple hair thing. Um, whatever they think is cool, right? So it's very creative, it's very, very creative. Um, and the way they can, so this is interesting too. So it can make you come across as your ascendant as a little bit cold or like emotionally unavailable, and you do have an air moon, right? So moon in Gemini. I always say that the air moons have like an on off switch with their emotions. Now I would never say that like someone just because of their fucking moon is it has anything to do. Oh fuck! I just had remembered something I need to absolutely fucking do before with this flight. Right in caps. Book the fucking flight. Okay. So what was I just talking about? I just totally lost train of thought, which always happens, of course. Blah 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 blah. So Uranus and how yeah okay, yeah how Capricorn Uranus rising people, yeah, they can come across as kind of like they don't give a shit, like they're kind of cold, unavailable, uninterested. Um and then how like the moon sign Gemini, it's like there can be like that on off switch. Yeah, and I was talking about how like that doesn't mean that like they don't have emotions, just that they can kind of be a little bit detached from it because it's air, right? The moon obviously likes to be in like Cancer, not likes to be, but it's like it's easier. So it's important when you lack water like you do, to make efforts to feel your emotions, right? So like for example, oh fuck, I just dropped my crystal. If there's like a movie that you know can make you cry, right? Leaning into that. Um, oh, so weird. I'm sorry. Um, I just have like a bruise here. It's not herpes, I swear. I've been tested a million times. I get these things here, and it's like just scratchy, and that's not herpes. I've been tested 3 times in the U.S. when I had the infections, and it's like they told me it was some skin condition, but I hate it. Start crying about it. Um, yeah. So it's a nice mix. But definitely someone who can get the job done and someone who wants to have a less conventional life path. So imagine if all you knew about astrology was that you were in a Capricorn rising and a Virgo sun and a Gemini moon. Well, that would definitely not, like the how about the fucking fact that Uranus is there? Now, what about the fact that Neptune is also there? It's 10 degrees away, it's in the ascendant, but it's in the first house. And Saturn's there too, in 18 degrees. But yeah. So Neptune, the first house, I love that placement because I always think of it as the person wants to take their dreams and their imagination and manifest it into their everyday reality, right? Which is so cool. And it's like creating like a fantasy world of your own, right? But there can be some identity crisis. That's the thing, right? So it's very important with your North Node in Aquarius and your Uranus rising. You're very like in your okay. You see, I'm connecting everything. Your sun, your ninth house stellium, like you're on this path. It's like really about true self discovery. Because perhaps in a past life with the Leo, maybe there was too much ego going on, like in the sense of like not ego like in the like selfish way. Maybe you were just like more like I'm a famous pop star as an example, right? Which pushes you away from your like true individualization. Like think of like someone like I don't know, like someone who's really famous, right? Like I don't know, fuck. Like I'm thinking of like Bieber, Rihanna, I don't know. Like someone like that. Who's constantly surrounded by people. So they aren't able to really fully individuate, right? Maybe those are bad examples of two celebrities because they're both like mutable, or not mutable, but like I know Rihanna is like Aries is some Pisces, I think, and Bieber is Pisces. But you can probably think of an example. So yeah, really important. And it gives like a also it can also create a kind of lack of boundaries between others and yourself, right? So yeah, they'll definitely like the identity crisis thing can come up, and I think that the fact that Capricorn's there will really help you with that identity and with boundaries. So that really like makes it so like, and I've been talking about this combination so much lately. Pisces and Capricorn, oh my god, that's gotta be one of the best sextiles. It's like fucking spirit. My favorite human ever, Armin van Buren, or favorite artist ever, favorite famous person ever. He's a Capricorn sun, born on Christmas, fucking angel, and his Pisces moon. right? Um, Capstone. So it's like, and he's to me the best DJ. He is the best, electronic um music. He's more than that. He's a god. Um, but like, he has that work ethic of Capricorn mixed with that creativity and that compassion of Neptune Pisces, right? And it's such a nice energy when it mixes well. But like so much of your chart, as I was saying, is like linked to like the ninth house, finding higher meaning. So traveling is really important, as I said, um, physically or metaphorically, through a plane or through books or through conversations in Gemini Moon, and you're really trying to find that energy that you can really connect with and then base your whole career on, or career slash dharma, right? And then with Pluto in the 11th house, it's like, um, to me, it's really about, I see it, what, I haven't pulled my Pluto book out in so long. It's a handwritten book I wrote when I first started astrology. Look at that. Isn't that fucking beautiful? If I ever become famous one day, if the world changes and astrologers get respect, or if I do something else, who knows? Maybe one day I'll be famous. I don't fucking know. I'm a Leo South Node too, so maybe I've had my time with fame in past lives. I'm just supposed to help people, but I would love to be famous. But I would never sell my soul or do anything that's unauthentic. I don't care that much to where like I'm gonna like change my style on Instagram. Like I'm gonna stay doing like what I do, maybe a little bit more refined, but yeah. And that's what it is with you too, with Aquarius. It's that authenticity, right? Um, oh fuck, that's cool. I brought that up. So, okay, me as an example, right? The Leo South Node thing with me is that whenever I ever try anything that's ego based, it gets blocked by the universe. I don't know if you experienced that. But then when I do things that are really truly coming from the heart, which that's what Leo's all about, is the heart, the passion, um, it definitely gets felt, and I'm able to manifest only when I'm like giving the divine reasons of why it's good for others, And I know I've been like a superstar in past lives, like with music, or whatever I did, because it just comes so easily to me. So you might have that too, where you have all these fucking talents, these creative talents, but then like you're just like fuck, like it's just like things never, like I was talking to my friend Melly yesterday, and he was telling me about how he's younger, he's like 21 ish, and he's telling me about how he just like started like ever since like he kind of got on this like spiritual journey, like now like all these like he's into music, but like kind of like I think he's like not he's like not like that deep. He's still really young. He's like 20 something, 21, 22. And now he's just having all these musical people are just coming towards him, That's clear, that's part of his life purpose. But yeah, it never happened for me, even though I'm better at rapping than fucking G easily. If I actually fucking did anything with it, which I never have. But that's neither here nor there. The point is that the whole point of me rapping was just for fun. Is something I did when I was drunk, and I wowed people by the fact that I could create a song like or like 10 songs within a row, like just from the top of my head with zero mistakes. But it wasn't meant to be recorded, I guess. Whatever. So you might have your own version of that. Okay, Pluto in the 11th house. So Pluto is so important for me because it really represents like the North Node is like your obviously it's like your highest potential, the metaphoric mountain never climbed in past lives, but Pluto is like the darkness, right? It's like where you need to like confront what you need to confront in order to get to the highest place, right? So the quest is a radical shift away from the karmic path, from who they have been, or from how others have seen them. It's about Aquarius 11th house seeking to liberate one from conditioning. So there's a powerful need to detach from the external environment and societal groupings in order to see those interactions with a new perspective. Ooh, interesting, huh? Sometimes you need to step out of our. So I just got a download of like you moving, like the importance. I don't know if you live in Singapore still. I try to forget everything about a client before I go into reading, but moving around is really good. So sometimes, fuck, I get a weird amount of people from Singapore, like in the sense that like I love it. I fucking love it. And I'm happy that people are getting more spiritual out there, but they're always like very don't talk about it. um, sure don't. Um, where was I? Yeah. So yeah, stepping out of familiar routines to understand the patterns that play out in our lives, which is very Mercury retrograde-esque, right? And this can lead to resistance as it's such a high evolutionary intent. Stepping out of like the conditioned groups, right? Like it goes with your Aquarius energy, right? Like you're trying to like really find groups you can be a part of that really are based on your true self. So you found your true self, and then you can combine with other people. So one fear is that going towards individualism will lead to isolation. And this can be linked to traumatic memories from past lives and potentially being ostracized. And this is the South Node, North Node. The South Node ruler tells more, which is the Sun, which is in Virgo in the ninth house, conjunct, which has no hard aspects to it whatsoever. I mean, the vertex is there, which is a good thing, which we'll talk about. Don't worry. I mean, I know you want me to talk about the vertex. I'm going to talk about the vertex. So yeah, I don't see much of the hard past life stuff. I think you have pretty damn good karma if you ask me. I think you're here to help people. And I think you're really here to individuate. And maybe in past lives, maybe the eighth house energy is like you being like a prince, yeah, like a princess or a prince or something. And because of that, you have to like stay like in, like that their strict moral code or their like values, right? And you weren't able to like be your own human. Who knows? And also, interesting, Vesta in Pallas is also conjunct the South Node. Pallas, I always think of it as like the third eye, right? So it's in Leo, which is a very creative mind. Um, really, really being able to like super good with words. Like you're like a poet. Um, and yeah, like I keep seeing writing for you, writing or like speaking something, like that, just like anything with the arts, like speaking, writing, being huge. And the Mercury retrograde, but it's about getting past the perfectionism, like allowing yourself to fuck up. That's so fucking big for you. You need to see fuck ups as assets. That's a huge evolutionary goal for Virgo, is when they start to see their fuck ups as gain, because it's just one. It's like, who said it? Michael Jordan. Like, I fucking don't know. You miss every shot you don't take, or Kobe said something every miss is I don't know, closer to a score. I don't fucking know. Forget bad quotes. Um. So okay. So these issues need to be understood now. The ones we're talking about, like the the kind of like fearing of being ostracized, if there's any past life memories held in the soul of that being really difficult. Um, a need for alliances with like-minded people, as I was saying, through groups or friendships in this lifetime. And when we talk, I will have something that I can talk to you about. You have to remind me, say um, code 11th house. The key of this placement is the urge to individuate, to become the person that one always wanted to be, free of past traumatic influences and conditioning factors. To the extent that a group supports this process, it is useful. This is huge. But to the point at which it begins to block this process, signals a problem. So one has to act. Wow, I really wrote a lot for this one. One has to act on the impulse to free themselves from this path, or they may face alienation in the current life. Yeah, so it's like finding groups of people where they help you individuate and be your authentic self, that core self, right? That unconditioned self. And then said one has to act on the impulse to free themselves from this path. So yeah, maybe they're like eighth house. There is a tendency to form alliances with strong people in society that give power. So it's like breaking away from that potential condition. And I know I was talking about Palace. I'll go back to it. So then the polarity point is Leo, which is the opposite. Obviously, the polarity point is opposite sign. The need to creatively self-actualize in order to express the potential to move beyond the disassociation produced by trauma into a more creative period of recovery. So yeah, further about like getting into authentic self-expression. Leo Aquarius. The individual finding their okay, this is like the quote. Individual finding their individuality within groups. Finding a purely selfish impulse of creative evolution. Finding purely selfish impulse of creative evolution. That's kind of beautifully written, would you say? Okay, so back to Palace on the South Node, that Palace in the 8th house, that is like best placing of your Palace, in my opinion. I mean, it just like gives a super strong intuition, psychic abilities. The whole 8th house, like with Jupiter there, like you just are like a natural psychologist, probably able to like probe deep into the mysteries of life. Really good for intelligence, and yeah, really, really good in terms of joint ventures too, as I've talked about before. So we do have Mars opposite Black Moon Lilith. Well, actually, I didn't talk about Saturn in the first half also. Basically, it's kind of like, it's whatever, because like it's already Capricorn rising, so it could just be like early shyness early in life potentially. But like the thing is like all these planets are together like they are in my chart, so it's like in the first house, it's the body, so like it can make someone have to like really like learn to love themselves like physically, um and learn to express themselves. And it's just like the Saturn turn is huge for finding your authentic self and moving past any conditioning that's holding you back, right? And feelings of like inadequacy from childhood with that Sun square moon. But it's also really good for like responsibility, all that stuff, all the Capricorn stuff. And of course, having Capricorn Saturn is awesome. It's the best placement for Saturn. It makes one kind of a boss. And I have that too. Very, like good, strong worldly ambitions, and very responsible worker that you can rely on. So, anyways, yeah, Black Moon Lilith. Well, I go there before. No, let's wait a little bit. So Chiron in the 7th house. So I didn't really talk about love that much yet. So, well, I have, didn't I? A little bit. Okay, Chiron in the 7th house, basically in Cancer. Chiron in Cancer, I always think about that as I have that too. It's just like tough karma in the family, and you have like a lot of emotional healing you need to do. You can feel unsure of yourself and your own family. And a lot of times it's a painful relationship with the father. But it makes you like someone who's able to like heal others through emotions, through energy, right? Better said, on an emotional level. Now 7th house, that's like suffering in relationships, right? Feeling rejected from the partner. Now with the Venus in Virgo, there can be feelings like I'm not good enough, stuff like that. I'm not good enough, or this person's not good enough. So really finding the right partner. We obviously want to look at your Juno, which is conjunct your Pluto, like mine is in Scorpio, in the 11th house. Yeah, with the 7th house Chiron also, it's like also really good for like being like a healer. Like this is a 7th house relationship we have now, or like with clients. And but yeah, you'll learn, you'll suffer, but also like heal. Your relationships are meant to heal you a lot, and you learn a lot from your relationships, right? Whether you're the learner or the teacher, or like the relationship is just the learner and the teacher. And yeah, so Cancer ascendant, and then the Venus in Virgo with the Juno in Scorpio with all the other stuff, all combined Moon Gemini. Okay, obviously you need someone that's not boring. You need someone who's, like I said, it could be from a different culture. They need to like also be very, very solid on many on the level of like yeah, you have that Virgo energy, but they need, like, for example, you couldn't be with someone that doesn't notice all the little things you do. Um, you need to feel very secure in your relationship, especially on a level of like just like there's a need for someone who understands who's also like on a spiritual journey, who's also very much in that individualization process, right? Um, but yeah, like Juno conjunct Pluto, it's like very, very intense relationships, life-changing relationships, like the really serious ones, that is. Um, that they take you to your shadow, but they're very necessary. So, also you have what I have, part of fortune, you know, like I guess it's 5 degrees away. Mine's exact degree. I'm so cool. Just joking. No, but you have part of fortune on your midheaven. That's really, really good for career and success, potential fame. Um, your midheaven in Libra, ruled by Venus in the ninth house. So, yeah, wisdom, knowledge, all these things are, in your career. They're big in your career, and you find your flow when you are at ease with your career and you have that balance, right? Um, so yeah, like social skills could be like a career that, and I'll get back to love, but like, Gemini moons can talk all day. So like you really have like endless fucking career options, but like you really want something that's, gonna get you closer to finding like higher meaning. So astrology is perfect. Yeah. But also like Gemini moons can have two careers, you know? So you could have like astrology and then be like a lawyer too. I mean, or have like the one that pays the bills, and then the passion, and then little by little that, you're able to like have the passion. Maybe you're a painter. It's weird how many art like actual artists Virgos I met. And then that ultimate ends up, because I think it's because they have so much detail. And if they get past the perfectionism, they can be great artists. Stop the fucking, it's underrated in its creativity, Virgo, because of the whole stigma on the OCD. So yeah. Um, yeah, beauty and harmony playing a big role in your career, and midheaven Libra, like on social media and people that don't know you in the greater world, they'll see you in this very like flowy way, like Libra flowy way. So yeah, and then having part of fortune there obviously is very beneficial, and it's like your flow state is like when you're achieving your goals, your worldly goals, you're really finding joy with that, and but you do have to overcome some childhood inhibitions to really get that, to really to really get there. Um, and yeah, like it's just like in general, you experience lots of joy in relationships, and when you have harmonious relationships. So, and when you feel like you're like you said with the 11th house, like you found a place where you really belong, the soul tribe. um okay, so thank you, Mary Christie. um yeah, so you're striving towards balance, but balance with the second house north node and individualization, which is also shown by like Aquarius is the sign for you. 11th house Pluto, uh north node Aquarius, that's the sign. That's the fucking sign. And then Aquarius fucking rising. I mean, how many times, or Uranus rising? That's three. Okay, so back to love. Yeah, like I said, I already talked about the Venus series. So unconditional love being huge. Not being overly critical of yourself, so you're not like overly critical of others. That's the big test. And yeah, like being able to like, with the Mercury retrograde, to be able to find someone that really like you in Gemini moon, you really need to have that link, that brain link, that mercurial link, And also someone who's really open-minded, you know? You can't be someone who's closed. They need to be like open. Even if they're not spiritual, they need to be like interested, at least respect it, you know, and they can have their own version of a spiritual journey, you know, but not someone who's closed-minded, who brings you down for your beliefs. That's not working. Um, so yeah, let's see. Okay, so yeah, Vertex. So Vertex and Virgo. So okay, Vertex I see in fixed signs or in whole signs is the ninth house, which is very interesting. Um, so and it only occurs when you're born in the tropics in Singapore, yeah. Um, so basically it's like very rare. It's usually like in you know in the sixth, fifth, sixth, seventh, or eighth. And then ninth, yeah, it's about exploration, right? So it's destiny for you is to expand your horizons, like different cultures. It goes with everything I've been saying, you know. And to have it on your sun, it's like lots of fate will play into your life, right? So finding the highest energy of Virgo is getting you to your highest. It's like your doorway to higher awareness, right? Um, and you might even like really feel like more drawn to a foreign culture, and how it feels to you than where you're from. And I've already kind of hinted at that, right? So kind of being open to like moving around. And really it's also about spirituality. So different spiritual practices and techniques. So trying allowing that Gemini moon to like try lots of different things. Um and yeah, like even things like astrology, right? Like anything that gets you in touch also with like ancient history, right? And ancient cultures can be very interesting for you. And yeah, travel, because that each travel, it unlocks like a new level of understanding for yourself in relation to your purpose. And then the anti-vertex in third house, which would be in what? In Pisces. Um, that will draw people to you who help you communicate your perception. Um, and also who help you communicate in general, like uh with the retrograde, like yeah, like basically who help you get in touch and where you can really communicate kind of like in a flowing way where you don't have to hold yourself back, right? And yeah, like where like people who like give you the ability to like write and talk about your truth and let it out. So Vertex with Virgo, I always see that all the time. It's like um it's you're destined to help other people, to be of service. You're here like Aquarius again, it's different, but it's similar, right? Um, and you might not feel like you fit into the world until you find that right area, But of course, with the Uranus Aquarius person, it's like it's very very unique. They're like who they're meant to be. And it also relates to Earth magic. I said Virgo is the magic of the Earth. So rituals, with different herbs, stuff like that can be really really great. Um, you know, what else? What else? What else? What else? What else? What else? Yeah, just really exploring like different cultures, versions of spirituality. Also like animals. I said that before. It's really important to have animals in your life. If you can. Yeah, it's just like really I see it as like yeah, just that earth magic energy and being a healer, a healer in your own specific way. Anti-vertex from Pisces, she um I guess that will draw you hmm, 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 hmm. It'll draw you people who have lots of spiritual insight, and that will motivate you towards your journey in that regard, right? And your journey as a healer. So, and guess what? Guess fucking what, Cat? Guess whose sun and Mercury, mostly sun. Yeah, there could be me. I have. Guess what? Your your anti-vertex is right on my sun. So I am whatever the fuck I said today. I don't know what I said. I already forgot it all. I'm joking, I didn't. But um, that's really important. And make sure you do tell that code word I told you. That really, really like makes me sure. Um, so yeah, like what else? 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 Yeah, so you'll be drawn to the Pisces during those times of need. Um and you being a Virgo, you might also like during like the really critical periods of your time, you might really moments of crisis, you might people who are very Virgo-y or mercurial will come to help you, right? And help you find new awareness to move forward. So it's in your sun sign. Um, yeah, vertex is interesting. But then in relationships, I always think about the vertex as like kind of your second ascendant relationships. So like in second ascendant, like but your relationship ascendant. So I think of it like in Virgo is it like, coming across as someone who's very helpful, who's very giving. I already kind of talked about that, right? Someone who's very practical and knows what they want. Um, they don't want some shit that they don't want to muck around, right? But just like the sun conjunct vertex, also it's like it's very good for being like a person of importance. And you can attract very prominent people to you. Um, what else? What else? What else? What else? Lots of fate just playing a huge role in your life. Um, so what else? Mm, scratch my back. Yeah, just like a really deep karmic, like a very important mission for you. Very, very unique mission. Um, what else? I'm trying to think. My brain is trying to think, but I don't really know. I don't see this very often. Um, fuck. I don't even know. I'm trying to think. Yeah, just like yeah, it's just like lots of fate and karmic connections and all that stuff. And yeah. Um, just like there's like, you know, maybe when there's transits to your nail vertex, there's like big activation points for you because of your sun, major turning points. So yeah. Anyways, okay, that. So Black Lilith, okay. That. Okay, Vesta in the sixth, conjunct Mars. Vesta is like work. So, Vesta six is like the commitment for serving other people, dedicated to service and through healing. Um, in Gemini, it's very good for networking. Surprise, surprise. Um, and just like really, really like being able to like be a worker that's really, really good at like exchanging information, communicating. Um, but sometimes there can be like that Gemini moon tendency to like avoid emotions and favor the intellectual as opposed to like yeah. And also, once again, uh writer, writer. Vesta Gemini, come on. Like you could be meant to be a writer. And like, what is a writer? Is it someone that writes novels? I'm a fucking writer. I write posts. I wrote a book. I mean, that's, but like, even if I didn't write the book, I'm still a writer, you know? And now I can actually follow you on Instagram if I don't already. I wait. I wait. I wait. I wait. Where does it go? The fuck? Why is it not? uh, It's not updating. It's so weird. Did my messages not go through? Yo, that's weird. Yeah, that's so strange. Hold on. I need to see something really quick. I was on Instagram on my computer. I sent a bunch of messages. There's no way that they didn't go through. My phone, they're not showing up. Okay. I'm just messaging you. Hold on. Okay. Anyways, so um, okay. I just sent you a follow. Um, yeah. So basically, very interesting chart. Black Moon Lilith in 12th house. Let's talk about that. It's in Sag, so it's like the darkness is around you know, I think like pushing your opinion too much and not being flexible. Um, when it comes to like philosophy, and just throwing yourself into too many new ventures, right? So yeah, there's a need for self-restraint, and it can make someone kind of reckless in their pursuit of goals, and like too many things in too many places, right? So and also like a little bit like dogmatic potentially, like and there's just like a need to like allow other people, like let's say you have a family member who's like really brainwashed, like allowing them to come to their own truth, right? That's how I see it. But it's in the 12th house, so this is really, really important. You need spiritual protection. You need to be very careful. Um, because in the eighth or fourth, eighth or 12th, Black and Lilith, it can, bring spiritual attacks. So there's definitely a need. Now you do have the safety of eighth house Jupiter. So that kind of is like your spiritual protection. But 12th house, Black and Lilith, definitely doing things that can protect yourself spiritually, showers, sage, uh energy work. Of course, like who you surround yourself with is so important. Um, so yeah. Um, Also, Mm, yeah. In the 12th house, sometimes people who have that, like they believe that other people are the problem when they refuse to like see their responsibility in certain situations. So and getting also like there can be like getting lost in the imaginary world, and like escapism. And yeah. Okay, let's see. Stars, 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 stars. Okay. So looking for stars. None here. So far, none. I've never had someone that I haven't seen a conjunction. So far, none. What's that? The fuck is this one? 24. Wait, why are they the same? What's this one then? What's this one then? No. Too many stars. Okay, so is that? Do I really have to do this? What the fuck is that? I guess I could go like this and try to figure out what the fuck it is. Okay, I see. So what's the other one? The 15 one. That's Beetlejuice. And what's the A13? That's not Juvenile Salami. No, it's not. That's in Scorpio. No, I see. I got it. Okay. So yeah, Fortuna, which is about fame, is conjunct your moon. I've seen fame quite a few times in your chart. Yeah, interesting. And then Bellatrix. No, it's out of order. Is that Capella? It's 14. Capella is like, I mean, your moon is like right in the zone of Gemini where like a lot of the wealth stars are. So Capella is like maybe like just out of orb. I mean, it's like let's see what they say about orbs with Capella. Is it 240? Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess Capella. We can speak about it. We can speak about it. Um. Capella's like basically just money. It's just money. It's money. And you have Fortuna. But what it says, I'll read to you. It says, Moon conjunct Capella, inquisitive, loquacious, indiscreet speech, sarcastic, quarrelsome, many journeys and voyages, domestic disharmony, uh, watch out for accidents. Love, but then that's like a old fucking tale, like explanation now. And the other one is love of learning, studiousness, and interest in research. In plain people, these properties make themselves known by persistent, annoying, inquisitive curiosity. That's the one I connect with more. But really, let's be real. I know the real fucking Capella. I know what it is from a Babylonian perspective. That's about that moolah. Um, okay, nothing there. Sun moon midpoint on the Jupiter. So by expanding yourself spiritually, that's how you can really integrate the sun and moon is through that Leo and also the South Node. And then Selena, which I haven't studied too much, but I know that it's like a very like kind of the opposite Black Moon Lilith, White Moon Selena. Haley, my Moon Girl reading, she talks about it. Maybe I can uh, I mean, if it's conjunct Jupiter, wait, didn't she? Let me like go on her page real quick. If I can fucking find it, but she doesn't have that many posts. She has 120 posts. So she really find it. I love how she has a post of asteroid dick. Um, so if a planet is right next to your White Moon Selena, which yeah, it's there, Jupiter. That planet is divinely protected and plays a major part in your exalted highest expression. So yeah, and then she writes in Leo, the exalted expression of your soul can emanate qualities such as leadership, authenticity, passion, creativity, and being a natural romantic. Your ability to operate from the heart, be courageous in all situations, and be an inspiration by being yourself is a big part of your overall life that inspires others. I love her. Like she's one of my best friends, so I'm not going to say I just had different views, I guess, about the importance of asteroids, like in terms of like unless they're conjunct. Like for me, it's like if they're conjunct a planet, bullseye, But like just like if you have that by itself in Leo, like I'm not fucking like that's not making my reading. It's not that important, in my opinion, in the opinion of many other astrologers. But I don't know everything, and I'm always open to being wrong. Okay, so looking further, I found something. Oh no, that's just series again. Oh no, it isn't. What is this one? Zosma. So check you out. Check you out. Um, fuck. There's so much in Virgo I cannot see. Legit. Zosma conjunct Mercury. Zosma is like one of like the three astrologer, ancient Babylonian. I had a post like of like three of, and you have two of them. One's on your Mercury. Zosma is on your Mercury, and the other one's the Nebula, which is on your Sun. But it wish it would show me like there's so much. Okay, I need to take. So you have Angel on your Sun. So when Haley talked, showed me. Um, the Nebula, which is another one about like higher learning. Angel, and I feel like there's like another one that I can't see, but I think it's seven. No, it's not Alcyone. It's something else. 17. Angel, yeah. Legit, there's three that are like crunched together. Wait, I can just know by the degrees that I say on here. So it'd be around 19. Let's look for Virgo. So yeah, Zazma. Yeah, it's not close enough actually. The Quar Angels there. And I think the other one was Aphrodite and Sappho. Damn. So that's like mad, like that's really good for attractiveness, Aphrodite, on your sun. Um, so yeah, very good for attractiveness and like kind of seduction. And yeah, sometimes Sappho can be an indicator of same-sex attraction, especially in a woman's chart. But it's on your sun, so it's not on your Venus or anything. But it's really about like creative spirit, poetry, writing again. Um, so very, very artistic. Um, yeah, yeah, aesthetic refinement, right? So the fine arts once again. Okay, moving forward on you're lucky that you don't have that. And then also that. So yeah, that is about it. Oh, I didn't talk about Mars opposite Black Moon Lilith. The last thing I'll talk about. Basically, Mars and Gemini, obviously, right? Um, I think that so this can be a dark one. Um, but let me have a sip. So yeah, this can be like just like really um huge determination to succeed at any cost. Um, which can cause you to like lose perspective and like potentially like outmaneuver and push other people down. Um, it's important to like not do that, but I don't think you do. But yeah, it just creates like intense ambition and passion. Um, which can come out in like, counterproductive ways. Um, also there can be like issues with like reclaiming your sense of empowerment. Um, in like sexual, intimate, like kind of ways. Hey, Mika. And here's Mika. And yeah, it can make you very rebellious, like of people who like try to like kind of, and this is like a very Aquarius thing, like people who try to like kind of be very demanding and kind of put you in a box, like who push away your freedom, independence, and that whole like North Node journey. Um, you know, it just like you're like get the fuck away. Um, but also you can become jealous and possessive if your insecurities are triggered. So just wanted to know about. Anyways, thank you for your patience. It's a pleasure. And hey, Esmond, stop. Not nice. Esmond. He keeps doing it. So yeah, I will send this out. And oh yeah, one other thing. Actually, no, you already know. I mean, I just tell people this regardless. Like most people, like they have the follow up already, and then they add the current astrology to the follow up. I do it for $250 if you're interested. Um, usually it's like three something, and so yeah, you can just tell me if you want to just do just the follow up, the 1 hour like discussion about the chart, or if you want to do the follow up, which is that combined with the current astrology, which usually it's 2 hours, sometimes more. Um, I go into like everything, slow return, progressions, transits, little solar arc. Yeah. So thank you and have a good one. Bye bye.